All right, let's do it. Let's make a non-Newtonian fluid. Let's call it Ooblek. Newtonian fluids follow a very specific pattern. Liquids, depending on their viscosity, flow freely in your hand. We talk viscosity when we make the polymer, slime. The lower the viscosity, the faster the liquid flows. Water, which has a viscosity measure rate of flow of 0, flows freely. When you turn it on, it flows through your hand. You can't really hold it, flows through your fingers. Liquid glue, it flows, but it kind of hangs off, that kind of a thing. It's clearly not a solid, those two substances I just named. However, in the case of Ooblek, so named after the Dr. Seuss book, Bartholomew and the Ooblek, in the case of Ooblek, it neither performs as a liquid or a solid, but a combination of both. So it's in violation of everything we know about the laws of fluidity, according to the great scientist, Mr. Newton. So let's see what you got. This is real simple. A couple of things we need to do first, though. In your Ooblek kit, pull it out. It says Ooblek on it. You got clearly 3 things. It's really 4. You have a 1 ounce container. You have, sitting inside of the black container is another container. Pull that out. In this container with the lid on it is cornstarch, a powdery substance. It is cornstarch. You have 2 ounces of cornstarch in here. Okay? So right now, mathematically, if I put an ounce of water in here, which you will do, fill this cup, 2 ounces here, 1 ounce here, the ratio is 2 to 1, 2 parts cornstarch for every part water. So if I wanted to make 4 ounces, if I wanted to use 4 ounces of cornstarch in this Ooblek recipe, then I would use 2 ounces of water. If I wanted to make 6 ounces or use 6 ounces of cornstarch to make my Ooblek, I would need 3 ounces of water, 2 to 1. Twice as much cornstarch as is water. I give you those measurements because it doesn't matter what quantity of substance you want to make, the recipe for a good solid and not so solid Ooblek is twice as much starch to water. Okay? In this case, we got 2 ounces. You're going to take this and pat it down a little bit because that cornstarch tends to stick, and it looks like so. You also have, don't do anything yet. You also have your plastic apron. I want you to put that on. It's very important. You can use your glove in this case as well. It's up to you. First thing I want you to do is to take your empty container and to put an ounce of water in that. Then I want you to pour that ounce of water into the now, empty black container. I want you to pour the ounce of water into that container. It's just water. At this point, I want you to start slowly using your stirring stick, which is also in your container, in your kit. You had a stirring stick, you had an empty container, 1 ounce container, you had 2 ounces of cornstarch in a container with a lid, and that sat inside of this empty 4 ounce container. Okay, that's where we're going to do our mixing. Now that I have my 1 ounce of water in there, I'm going to slowly and neatly put my cornstarch in there. This stuff, this powdery stuff, every time you pour it in there, it has dust kickback. So that's why I say slowly, so it doesn't kick up too much. Once you pour it in there, you'll start to feel what's happening. Woohoo! Because this non-Newtonian fluid that doesn't act like a solid and doesn't act like a liquid, but a combination of the two, the minute you apply pressure, as is happening when you are trying to stir this new substance with your stick, the minute you do that, it feels very hard. But if you slowly put your stick through there, it will allow for you to easily to do that. Easily breach the surface of the liquid. So here's the deal. You got to break all that up, stir it up. And once you do that, if you want, you can take your plastic, well, maybe you shouldn't, but you could. You can take your apron, if you like, and kind of spread it out, or get some paper or something. And you can take this stuff that looks like this, but will pour like a liquid. You see that? Oh my gosh. Pours like a liquid. Woo! Until such time that you apply pressure. So you're going to see, this stuff is so messy. You guys like it. Pour it into your hand. And you're going to watch it ooze down. But if you close your fist, it's going to get very much solidified. And when you do that, I'm going to use a glove. You'll see what happens. So if I pour it just like so, it performs just like a liquid would. But then if I clasp it, it gets solid. See that? But as soon as I let it go, it liquefies again. It's really cool. Couple of rules with this stuff though. You cannot discard of it, mean throw it away, by flushing it down the toilet or any sink. Because just what it does in your hand, it will do in your house. It will back up your pipes. So when you're done playing with it, and play with it you should, put it into its container. The lid that was on the original container that the cornstarch came into fits on this new container that you mixed it in. Put that lid on there. Put it back into that plastic that it came in. Close that up and just throw it in the trash. Now, before you do that, let's do a little test. Take this demonstration to a experiment. Close it up, put a date on it. Put it in the freezer, the refrigerator, or maybe let it sit in the sun. And let's see how temperature affects the way this performs within a 24-hour period. Come back the next day, open it up, taking into account how messy it can be, so be neat, and then test it and see what it does. Write about it in your journals. Okay, date it, put the name of the experiment on there, tell what you did, tell what you're going to do, and then write your observations. All right, geniuses? Until next time.